Ahoy me hearties, and welcome to my Scallywagathon readathon vlog. I'm back. Alright, so I know it has been 2 weeks, I think, since I last posted a vlog, possibly 3. I did tell my partner I was going to stop vlogging because it was obviously taking a lot of my Saturdays to edit them and get them up for Sunday night, but when I wasn't vlogging, I found myself holding books like this while I was trying to sleep and going, yeah, so I'm really enjoying the conflict between but then blah 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 blah, and the walls do not care as much as you guys do, let me tell you that. Currently I am reading this, which is Red a Sister by Mark Lawrence. I am not really enjoying this book. It feels very all over the place, as though there isn't an overarching theme or story. But I know that BookTube really loves this series, so I'm like pressing through, but I'm not enjoying quite a lot of the time I spend in this book. There are moments where I am enjoying it. I think the writing is just maybe too, I don't know. I don't know what it is about this. Feel like I do feel for the main character and her friends, some of them at least, but I feel like a lot of the adults in this are classist, and I just don't need that in my life. You know, I mean, there should be at least a couple of good adults. I am nearly done now. I am 75, maybe 80% of the way through, and I still don't know what the main conflict is. I have no idea how they're gonna resolve things. So yeah, not really enjoying it, especially because this isn't a debut. This is the author's first book in a series. And he's wrapped up 2 series, and I hear they've done really well, so I don't know what it is about this that I don't like, but I just don't feel like it's a very well written book. Still, I do hear that the series gets really, really good. I think a lot of it is that he's deliberately teasing us with so many different randomly unexplained parts and pieces of material. So for example, a prologue keeps being repeated over and over again with like a tiny bit more information, and you understand lots more things, and I don't know, it feels very forced. Last night I finished My Brother's Husband by Gengoro Tagami. This was such a cute read. It was very light, it was very fluffy. It dealt with some kind of like issues with homosexuality and homophobia and kind of like how you can lose your brother, and there's a very slight spiritual element here. I'm not loving it like a lot of BookTube. I think it's very overly simplified, and while cute, don't get me wrong, I did really enjoy reading this. I didn't feel like it was a very deep look at pretty much anything. I am going to read the second one though. I mean, there are only 4 books. This is the first 2, and then the second 2 is in volume 2 for the English readers. The art style is super cute, and I love the characters. It's just not quite, like, it's not a meaningful or particularly enjoyable read, if that makes sense. But still, this is my first book that I've completed for the Asian Readathon, which is stretching across the whole month of May, and this is my challenge to read a comic book or manga or picture, you know, a book with pictures as well as words. And that is me. It is Sunday. It is Sunday the 5th of May, I believe. Yesterday I finished Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. I didn't really enjoy the ending either. I felt like the whole book was very disjointed. It had some amazing world building themes, and I really loved the fact that they had the ice and the corridor and the focus moon and things like that. But I don't even know what happened to the main protagonist. Well, I say main, she joined the book like halfway through, but the main protagonist, the adult nun, I don't know what happened to her after their final conflict. Like, I've got no idea what's going on, and I just feel like Mark Lawrence put way too much effort into foreshadowing things and not enough into actually pulling through. So I was actually, I've said actually about 17 times, but I was quite disappointed by this, especially given the hype on BookTube for Holy Sister, I think it's called. However, I will probably be continuing this series at a much lower priority just to see how things go, because like I said, I did really enjoy the world building, and people seem to think that the rest of the series is much better, so we will see. Today is the start of the Scallywag, and so the rest of this vlog will be dedicated to Scallywag read. I decided to start with number 4, which was Low Tides, and that was to read a book that was less than 200 pages, and for this I decided to read In the Vanisher's Palace by Aliette de Bodard. This book, it's quite good. It's not the best book I've ever read, but it is quite good. So far it's about 3 star. I'm 75% of the way through. It's listed as a Beast in the Beauty retelling on Amazon. Essentially, it is a story of a Vietnamese kind of like world in which these people have come with the ability to cause sicknesses and death, created absolute devastation. Like, there is nothing good and perfect. Everything is sick or moldy and stuff like that. The daughter of the chief of the village falls ill, and the healer summons a protective spirit to heal her, but in the process kind of like barters away her own life. The healer's daughter is told to step up, and not by the mother, but by the chief of the village, is kind of like told to step up and take her mother's sacrifice, and she does so. She is taken by the spirit to the spirit world to live in one of these houses that the people who ruined the world live in. they no longer exist, and it's about her sort of like coming to terms with her attraction for the spirit, and also the terrible things that the spirit has done and that she believes the spirit has done. The spirit has 2 children that the stolen girl is supposed to teach, and yeah, it kind of goes on from there. It is quite good. There are some grammatical and there are no spelling issues, but there are some grammatical issues, but I think that's to be expected when the author isn't necessarily native English speaker, and also with any book that you're going to find a few grammar issues, I think. They do have a gender neutral girl. There is a female to female romance pretty heavily prevalent in the plot, and I believe one of the characters is bi as well, because she mentions a husband and is also part of this female-female relationship. So, you know, there is a lot of representation in this one. It's also my pick for the Asian Readathon's intersectional identity. So yeah, the gender neutral and the LGBT relationship, obviously making it my pick for that. And it was my bingo pick for something else as well. I think it was my bingo pick for a diverse fantasy setting. So bingo, Asian Readathon and Scallywagathon. I am rolling with this pick. All right, I'll catch you later when I've finished in the Vanishes Palace and decided where I'm going to. I was going to say sail off next to, but I'm fairly sure it's like intergalactic, but still, sail off next to. It is Sunday afternoon and we've just come back from my in-laws where I finished Aliette de Bodard's In the Vanishes Palace. I was quite surprised to find that Aliette de Bodard had written several books and this was not her first, because there were some mistakes in it that I felt, you know, would have been forgiven in a debut author, but I still really enjoyed the story. It was super cute. It had gender neutral character. There is a character in here whose pronouns are they, them. And the main romance, as I said before, is female-female. Everything gets resolved rather nicely in the end, and yeah, it's just kind of cute. It has a lot of promise, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favourite thing ever. But I've never read a Beauty and the Beast retelling before, so maybe I'm just not into kidnapped women. I don't know. But I felt like they handled it in a really good way, so yeah. I enjoyed this. I would recommend it. Apparently my wall is falling down. And then from number 4, we sail off to number 8. Number 8 is to read a book with a revenge plot. And for this, I'm going for The Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. I think everyone probably knows about this book. It is also a banned book in many countries, so it could have counted for that one as well. I also found this super cute bookmark in one of my library books, and I don't know how to give it back to whoever it was. Recommendations in the comments, please. I really don't like this edition. It looks so old and like scary. So The Satanic Verses is a work by a Muslim author about a plane crash. On the way down, 2 survivors of the plane crash, they might be the only 2, I haven't read it so I don't know, but one of them turns into a devil and one of them turns into an angel, but you don't know which is which, at least from the summary on the cover, which I don't have here because this is just quotes from people, but I have read before because I have another copy of this at home. Anyway, I'm ranting, moving on. Salman Rushdie actually received many death threats because of the publication of this book, but he's supposed to be an amazing author. I am a bit worried because it is over 500 pages long. I think it's closer to 6, which means I'm quite intimidated by it, and I have tried to read it before. As I said, I own a copy back in England, but I really struggled with the prose then, so hopefully I've matured as a reader and I will find it a little bit easier to get into. So it is Monday, not much has happened today. I went to work, I came back, I organised a physiotherapy appointment for my neck. Well, it's not physiotherapy, it's something called a naprapat, which is kind of like physiotherapy. They are a certified medical profession here in Sweden, but I don't know what the equivalent would be in the UK. I think they are a type of physiotherapy, but they kind of treat you with, you know, massage and stretches and exercises and stuff. And I am 108 pages into the Satanic Verses. I am actually really enjoying it, so I thought I would be really much more intimidated by the plot, but I think it's really, by the prose, but actually having read it like now as an adult, I find Salman Rushdie's use of language to be quite playful. It's almost like he uses language in a way that I wouldn't see, because maybe because you know, he's got lots of different languages and I've only got the 3, but just the way that he uses it is so playful and joyful, and I really like it. So far, we've changed viewpoints a few times and I haven't yet been confused. We're currently in the Muhammad story, which I believe is the evil part of it, because it kind of paints a portrait as to why Muhammad might have written these satanic verses, that, you know, there is a lot of controversy over whether or not they were even written, and yeah. Yeah, I mean, Salman Rushdie isn't in the novel coming out and saying Muhammad definitely wrote those satanic verses and this is why, but he's kind of like playing it like on a stage for you to think about and consider, and I can see why that would anger people. Obviously I can't see why it would anger people to death threats, because I'm of the cultural / normal belief that people shouldn't be put to death for their works of art. even when they are deliberately provocative. Like, I believe this is deliberately provocative, but I still really enjoy his writing style. You can see that he definitely plots books in a different way than I would as a non-literative fiction writer. Literative people sneer at fantasy, but then they fall in love with things like this and Murakami and stuff. Fantasy can be literary, but clearly I cannot. I will see you tomorrow, where I will hopefully have made more than 100 pages progress into this bad boy. I also marked 20, 50, and 75, so I actually feel like I'm making progress since this is only my second stop on the tour and I still have a lot more books to go. Hello, it is Tuesday. It is around 7:30, so I've been home for a while. Giving you a quick update on my pick for number 8, which was a book with a revenge plot, and I've just hit page 216. I'm still really enjoying this. There were bits of it that were quite disturbing, and I can definitely see where some people would be quite disgusted or offended, but I am enjoying reading it. The only thing is I'm quite scared to read it in public. Only a couple of people have commented on it, but that's still a couple more people than usually comment on my reading material. So it is quite intimidating to be like on the bus and someone's like, yeah, you shouldn't be reading that. But I still am enjoying it. I'm not quite at 50%. I'm about 50 pages off 50%. But I'm trucking away, so hopefully I will finish this halfway through Friday, if not before, and then be able to pick up another book or prompt on the readathon map. One can hope. We will see. But yeah, I'm glad I picked it up. Like, this is a book that has intimidated me for many years, and it's a book that kind of like is one of those literary fiction fantasies, like I said yesterday, where people really love it, or they think it's a masterpiece of writing. But for me, I was really kind of intimidated because I don't know that much about the Quran, and a lot of things I read online said, oh, you should know the Quran really well and you should know Islamic history really well to understand this. I'm not sure that's true, at least so far. I'm following along quite well. I know obviously the bare basics of Islam. I know that, you know, the Prophet went up a mountain and heard the word of God is the basis of the belief, and that's all I've really needed. There are a lot of really clever ideas in here, like the idea that foreigners or people who are not white in England have been turned into animals by the they or them and the way that they see them. So there is a man with a tiger's head with I think 3 sets of teeth, and he says that they have been turned into what they look like the half animals that they are, because of people's perceptions of them. And that's a really interesting kind of like concept and metaphor for life, because let's face it, people do tend to turn into what they are faced with again and again and again. But yes, so far I'm still enjoying this. Kind of worried that it's a bit long for a week-long readathon, but enjoying it nonetheless. Hey look, I finally remembered to film a vlog while I'm wearing outdoor clothes. So I am filming this while also boiling some rice, so I'm going to be really quick because I don't want to burn down the house. I went to the library today. As you know, the library is a personal failing of mine. It kind of brings to light all of my inabilities to not pick up books that I walk past, but I did really well. So I went in actually to let go of some books that I borrowed and read, so My Brother's Husband Volume 1 and what's it called? Red Sister. And I actually succeeded in doing so, which is a amazing first for me. And I only picked up the books that I previously reserved. So honestly, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So I'm going to show you the books that I'd reserved, and then I'm going to check on the rice, and then I'm going to tell you how I'm doing on the Satanic Verses and where I think my little pirate voyage is going to take me next. So first of all, the 3 books I got from the library were My Brother's Husband Volume 2. I really enjoyed this book. It was the Volume 1 that is, or Volumes 1 and 2 if you're reading the Japanese versions. It's a super cute story about a young man whose brothers died unexpectedly in Canada, and then his brother's husband turns up in Japan and is invited to stay by the young man's daughter. And yeah, it's just about the young man becoming more accepting and kind of like experiencing all of the, or thinking about homophobia from a brand new angle, I guess, because he's never really thought about men and marrying men before. Then we have The Three-Body Problem. This was my pick for reader translated work for Asian Readathon, and it was also my bingo ball number 75, which was Any Pick. I picked this up because my friends at work suggested it to me, and they were pretty insistent that this is one of the best sci-fis they've ever read. So obviously I had to pick it up. It's won a prize. It won a Hugo in 2015. It says it right there. I don't know much about this, but I am super keen to get started. I'm also kind of intimidated, and I'll come back to that in just a second, so stay tuned. Finally, I picked up The Lies of Locke Lamora. I actually picked this up because of a recommendation on Cody's Book Corner, so that's Cody's BookTube channel. I've obviously talked about her before because she does the Wheel of TBR, which picks her books of the month, and that was a big inspiration for my bingo picks my TBR. This is quite a long book, and it is about a man and possibly a woman I think it's mainly about a man called Thorn of Camor. He runs lots of heists and there are lots of myths about him, and this is about one of the heists that he pulls off and some events that kind of like cascade from that. That's all I know about this book. I'm so keen to get started and read it, but it's not on my TBR for this month, so I might have to wait until next month to pick this up finally. But I was on the waiting list at the library for ages for this one and also for this one, so I'm not letting them go anytime soon. So I forgot to say earlier, and obviously I went to eat because everything kind of like started happening and I needed to cook and stuff. But I forgot to say earlier that I got these two like really cute cans of iced tea. It's fizzy iced tea, which is really just fizzy water, which is really just flavoured fizzy water. But this is mango and this is peach, and they have this cute little fox on the top of them. And the company says that a third of their profits go to charity. Now, a third of profits probably means nothing for a new company, but if they can keep up that, that's really cool. I think I'll probably like the mango one more because I just like mango more, but I love peach. If it tastes like peach and does not like artificial peach, I'll probably also love this. It made me laugh because the firm, I don't know if you can see, there. You see, the firm is called Dirty Water. Dirt Water Fox Brewery, which is hilarious. But yeah, so I'm super excited to try one. Let's try the mango one. Did Coke like patent their sound when you open a Coke can? Delicious. So much better than the Coke that tastes of mango. Probably not gonna buy it because it's a lot more expensive than flavoured fizzy water. But like as the occasional treat, you know? Fortified now by Mango Fizzy Iced Tea, which I was not sponsored by, I paid for that myself. I'm now going to talk about the Satanic Verses. So, as you know, because you've been watching this very video, I picked up the Salman Rushdie The Satanic Verses for my number 8, which was to read a revenge plot. I am now over halfway. If you see this one is me, and this one was my goal for today, which I clearly did not reach, but now I am only 20 pages away from it, which is not that bad. Again, I've not really lost yet, so I think I get on with Salman Rushdie's writing a lot more than some online critics who said that it was very difficult to follow. I'm enjoying it. Currently, one of the main characters is kind of like learning how to he learned to come to terms with his metamorphosis, and then that had unexpected consequences. So I really like this and I'm really excited to continue reading. Even though it's a Tuesday and I'm still only on my second step of the pirate journey, and I think I probably won't finish this until Thursday, which is quite sad. So from 8, I can go to either B or C. B is Angle of Attack, which is about a problem facing society today, and then C is a book that you have been scared to pick up. So I have decided to go for C, which is a book I have been scared to pick up from my TBR, and both of these were picked by Bingo, or were picked for Asian Readathon, or were picked during the course of Bingo. I actually picked this one for Bingo New Releases, a classic new release. This is clearly not a new release. It was written in like 1960s, I think, or 1950s. So I made a mistake, but I'm gonna still read it and own it. Now, the reason that this children's book, Milo's Fantastic Tollbooth, I think, is that it is entirely written in Swedish, and also it has a lot less pictures than I thought it would, which is why this is intimidating. This is going to take me a while to read. It is 200 pages-ish of mostly just pure Swedish. Now, I did read the first page to see if I could read it. I panicked and bought Milo's Fantastic Toll House on the web, but I think I might be able to, just maybe not this week. And then the reason that I'm intimidated by the 3-body problem, I don't normally read sci-fi. I'm much more of a fantasy girl, and I have never read a overarching sci-fi plot which follows like 3 timelines, which I believe this does. But also one of the reasons that I'm intimidated by it is the fact that I have been recommended this by a colleague whose advice I sort of trust, and I want to enjoy this because I want us to have books in common that we both like. I'm scared, y'all. I'm very scared that I won't like this. It is a translated work and it is quite dense in places. Not that I've read it, but like from the flip through. It does, however, smell better than Milhouse's Fantastic Tollbooth, or whatever it's called. And also I'm a little bit intimidated because I know that there is a lot of elements in this which are part of Chinese culture and therefore aren't explained, whereas neither really are the scientific or the sci-fi elements. So you have to be very awake to follow it all and to kind of like see everything interconnect. And yeah, I don't know, my friends, my peeps, my loves. I think I am going to pick the 3-body problem because I really want to talk to people at work about this, and I obviously leave pretty soon. That's a good enough reason for me. So this will be my pick for C, a book that you have been afeared of. Just have to finish the second half of the Satanic Verses in order to get to the scientific, to the sci-fi. I don't know why I keep calling it scientific. The scientific fiction. Alright, so I am still not done with the Satanic Verses. Hell, I didn't even reach my goal by like 60 pages yesterday. But I'm going to take a break from it because it's really tiring, and I woke up at 3:30. Like, I went to bed at like 10:30, maybe 11 last night, which was pretty late for me, but we had an after work, and then there was a big kerfuffle with the bus, and I thought it went from a different stop than it does, and I, missed it anyway, and had to wait 50 minutes in the rain, and then took public transport home, which, was the plan anyway, but by that I mean I didn't just take a bus, I took a bus and then a train and then a tram, instead of just one bus. And then, so instead of reading this, because I'm knackered and I'm in so much pain because my neck's messed up, and apparently it's going to be that way for a while, I'm going to pick up the Three-Body Problem. I haven't started this yet. There's someone else waiting for a bus, and now I look really weird because I'm just talking to the camera, but I haven't picked this up yet. I just want to see how it goes. I've actually set myself the rather industrious goal of 200 pages, which is halfway through the book. I don't know if that's going to happen. I might just sleep on the bus, to be honest, if I can, with my neck. But I am really looking forward to this, even though I'm also terrified. So, yeah, wish me luck. So I am 50 pages into the Three-Body Problem. The first chapter was like a lot of revolutionary, counter-revolutionary, red guards fighting red guards type of thing. Like, it was super difficult to read, especially given that I don't know that much about revolutionary China. And also it's raining outside, so what little there was of my hairstyle is gone now. But chapter 2 was amazing, so I definitely recommend, if you've ever picked this up and been like, I don't understand anything, chapter 2 is really good, so I'm going to keep reading, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Hello, it is Friday. I am home from work an hour early because I left work an hour early because of the whole like getting up really early thing. See how many times I can say the word early. I'm clearly very unwell. My shoulder is killing me. So plans for this evening are: 1, finish getting my video ready that uploads in like 2 hours. 2, check how warm it is on the balcony. If it's warm on the balcony, read on the balcony. Or B, 2B, if it's not warm on the balcony, pour myself a nice lovely bath and warm myself in the bath. And then when I say it's warm on the balcony, I mean like 40 degrees-ish. If it's not 40 degrees, I'm having a bath because my neck is killing and it needs some warmth. But I also really need to read. So I read 99 pages of Three-Body Problem today, 50 on the way to work, as I said, and then 50 on the way back, which means I read for pretty much the whole journey, except for the last like 10 minutes when I was really tired. But that is it. I'm hoping to at least finish the Three-Body Problem tomorrow, and Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses, which will be 3 of the 4 books I kind of like had planned for the Scallywagathon. But I'm not going to push myself because I'm in a lot of pain, so we will see. Alright guys, I will catch you on the flip side. Hi guys, it's dark as shit in here, so I'm just gonna film a really quick update. It is way past my bedtime. It's like 10 or possibly... It's like 10:30, but I am on page 202, which means I am nearly halfway through the Three-Body Problem, and I have just found out that a line on the back of the book, in the blurb, is actually a huge spoiler for a plot twist in the middle of the book, and I'm really annoyed because as a physicist, I would have absolutely loved to try and figure out this plot twist and like, you know, had thought of things and like tried to figure stuff out, and I'm really annoyed because I was only reading the back because I was like bored at a bus stop or something. Like, I wanted to go into this knowing nothing, and now I really feel as though I've been spoiled and cheated out of an experience. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but I am really enjoying this. I'm gonna go to bed, not to sleep, but to read more probably, and try to sleep because my neck's not feeling that bad right now, so hopefully I can get a couple of hours in. Yeah, this book is so good that it's keeping me up on a day that I woke up at 3:30. I want you to know that. It is so bright on the balcony whenever the sun gets out of the clouds. Alright, so I am on the balcony. It is Saturday morning, obviously. I did read last night and a bit this morning. Nearly finished with the Three-Body Problem. I'm on page 330 of about 400 pages. I think so. I've only got 100 pages to go. I'm still really loving this, but I was absolutely right to be intimidated by it. Like, it's such a great book, and I'm really like, I love it, and I love all the science, and I love like the kind of like to talk about gravitational waves and space-time bending and stuff, and that's how we didn't like how they I love it so much. And all of the characters are like super famous scientists or theoretical physicists and things like that, so I don't know, maybe I just see myself, see my ideal self in it, but I am really enjoying it, and it's really, like, the writing style and the translation, sorry, it was translated by Ken Liu, who you might know from The Paper Menagerie, which is a short story, a really cool short story, but I don't know, there was something kind of awkward about some of the sentences and the way he's translated them in this. It is told in somewhat mixed media. There are police reports and interviews, there are reports from scientific studies, but not like in a boring way. It gives it a kind of like a weight or a precedence. I can also talk a lot more about what this is actually about. So this is actually about a man who is a scientist, who is like a applied physics scientist. He makes nanotechnology, and he is asked by the police to infiltrate an elite scientific organisation to find out why scientists have been committing suicide and like getting really lost and confused. And he does so, essentially. And then it's also kind of about what he finds during that investigation and how that lines up with with another woman's life, like 30 years earlier. But yeah, it's really good if you're interested in sci-fi at all and you can handle the science. Like, as a physicist, I would say that the science, like, you do have to have some background. You probably don't have to have that much, and as a science fiction reader, you probably might, you know, be better at understanding it than me. But as a physicist, there were a few points where I had to like think about it, think about how certain things would be. There's like quite integral to the plot is the kind of like, as I said, the theory of gravitation and stuff like that, and gravity waves and Higgs boson, so just be aware of that going in. But it is so well told and I'm really enjoying it, so yeah, definitely one to look out for. And then going back in time on my map, my pick for number 8, which was a book with a revenge plot. I haven't picked this up since I last spoke to you about it. I still am 200 pages away from finishing it, so I'm squinting. I have photophobia, which is my eyes are really sensitive to sunlight, and yet I really like being warm, so I spend a lot of time in the sun on the balcony, despising it. I should really just bring a hat, but then I won't be wearing a hat, and I also don't know where it is because we moved not that long ago. Anyway, so yes, like I said, I do love the way that Salman Rushdie writes. Like, this is so much more elegant and beautiful. This is, as I said, there are some kind of like awkward sentences, but the three-body problem is so much easier to read than this. Like, this has so many biblical metaphors and like random storylines that don't seem to be going anywhere. I definitely can't see where this is going, whereas the three-body problem definitely gives me a plot to live for. But I only have 200 pages left, so we have to go out today. We're going to go buy some furniture and go see my in-laws and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see how we do. I think I can probably finish the three-body problem and maybe even at a stretch finish this by tomorrow, but I probably won't be able to pick up my last book. I feel like an absolute reading machine. So I did actually finish the three-body problem. I am now reading the Satanic Verses. I am on page 418, so I am definitely getting somewhere. It doesn't feel like I'm getting to the end of this book, because this book is like 500 and something pages, 550 pages long. Also, I now have reached the bit where I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't write that about other people's religions. Broski, don't do that. That seems rude to me, I don't know. But I can see why people might be upset by this, so yeah. I no longer am like, oh, but it's just a novel. Now I'm like, yeah, this was a novel written to really annoy some people, and that's very rude. That's very rude. But I still absolutely love his writing style. I finished just before a new chapter because my partner came over and wanted to talk to me, and I've been trying really hard to follow Stephen Fry's advice and like actually make time for my family. Anyway, so I'm really hoping to finish this today, like I said, but it might be a bit of a stretch, so I will update you before I go to bed, I guess. So it is now Saturday night. It is, I can't tell if the Scallywagathon ends today or tomorrow. It's really hard to tell online, because I don't know, I have a problem with inclusive dates. So yeah, so we went furniture shopping and we got these lovely chairs that you can sit and read in, so I'm really excited about that. And then, like I said earlier, I managed to finish the three-body problem. I read this in about 36 hours. I loved this book. It was really unusual, I think, in terms of sci-fi, well, I don't read that much sci-fi, but the way the story was told was a bit disjointed, and I can see that it did have some flaws. However, I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the look at Cultural Revolution in China and just how people were treated, and I loved that the book tackled various like scientist philosophies, like science is greater than everything, and also that science has led humanity into being morally ambivalent. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And there was an Esperanto remark in this. So Esperanto, if you don't know, is a constructed language, which means someone made it up, and it's super easy to learn because all of the grammar rules are very regular and they don't change. So yeah, there was an Esperanto remark in this And there was an Esperanto mark in the bit of this that I read today, which is like, my day is filled with Esperanto representation and I'm really happy about it. So, Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses, I managed to read a couple, I think 50 more pages. I'm still really struggling, like I am enjoying it when I'm reading, and when I'm reading I'm happy, but then I put it down and I do not want to pick it up again. But it's still a really good read. Like I said, I can see now where all the fuss, such an English word. So this plus Vanisher's Palace were my picks for Scallywagathon, and I did want to at least start the Crimson Artist, but I'm afraid that one will have to be put off until possibly the end of the month, possibly next month, or the next readathon, because I clearly have to focus on this beast, because I'm never going to finish it otherwise. And I really don't want to DNF it, because like I said, I am enjoying it. It's just, there's something about it. It's almost like being in a dream. The points of view change all the time with no real, what's the word? Flags or clues. And you never really know where you are and what the point of the story is at all, or at least I don't. So, and I mean, we're going back in time, and there are characters with the same names in modern day times as there were in the past. And it's really hard to follow what is going on, although now our two main characters are sort of close together. They're not together, but they're closer together. So hopefully it might get a bit more normal. I'm really excited I finished this. It was super intimidating, and I'm no longer embarrassed that I said I was intimidated by it. And I'm really glad I finished it. I have put the next one on my Goodreads TBR, but I haven't requested it from the library because I have so many library books out right now and I need to read those instead. But yeah, I hope you guys have had an absolutely amazing week. I'm so glad I'm vlogging again. Like seriously, I haven't told the walls and the guitar what I thought of a book for a couple of days now, so that's really good. So that's the end of the weekly vlog and the end of the Scallywagathon vlog. I will be doing another one next week for Bingoathon, so keep your eyes open for that. If you don't want to keep your eyes open and you do want to watch it, then don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you next week. Ciao! Ahoy me hearties, and welcome to my ahoy me hearties, and welcome to my Scallyathon reading vlog. Ahoy me hearties, and welcome to my Scallywagathon